All right, we are on live.
We live.
Yes, put some music on real quick. Wait for people to jump on. Gonna vibe out a little bit. Tonight, interviewing Miss Kiesha Mae. Let's see. We're gonna worship till we pass out. Hey.
Yes.
Welcome everybody to Inspire Her Live. Hey Susan. Welcome.
Hey,
welcome.
Hey everybody.
All right, a few more seconds. Thank you. All righty. Welcome everyone to Inspire Her Live. Thank you guys for hopping on. Hey baby. My husband downstairs with the boys watching. Let us know where you're watching from, who you're with. Please share, comment. Hey Reese. Yeah, share, tag, comment, participate with us. We're just, hanging out. I hope that you guys are inspired, encouraged. I met Miss Kiesha Mae through our network marketing company, Stream Energy, which is now Connect. What, about 5 or 6
years, 4 years ago now?
Yeah. So we met through that. And, I've heard Kiesha's story and I just have had her. Okay, first of all, let me apologize because I've been saying I've been going to start these interviews like for the last year. And finally, this is my first interview.
Yay!
Celebrate. And Kiesha, I've prayed about everything because I always pray about everything. And I just want God to lead us or lead me. And Kiesha was like one of the first people that came to my mind. So I introduced you, Miss Kiesha Mae. If you could let everybody know who you are, where you're from, so they can get to know a little bit of your background.
Okay. Hi everybody. First I want to thank you, Rebecca, for inviting me on your platform. I'm super excited to share with you guys today. I'm Kiesha Mae, and I am from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And boy, do I have a testimony to share today.
Yes. Can you tell us?
I'm so excited. Sorry?
How many kids do you have?
I have 2 boys, ages 8 and 5. So I am constantly busy.
Mom life. I think our boys are they like a few days apart or something?
I think your oldest, no, not your oldest, not the baby, but the middle child now.
Yeah.
I think they are a couple, but yep, because he's September 20th, my oldest.
And mine is the 21st.
Yep, see?
Yeah. So we can relate on that one.
Absolutely.
So can you, just share a little bit of where did Kiesha Mae start, where you want to share your story from?
Okay. So, I got like some notes. So if you guys see me like looking down and stuff, I just want to make sure that I hit everything that I really want to share with you guys today. And I'm going to start off where I feel like everything starts from, which is your childhood, right? So I grew up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, in some projects called the P-Funk. And our childhood definitely was not like your normal childhood growing up. Like I definitely experienced a lot of adversity straight from the gate. My mother was a drug addict, now recovered and clean, thank God for that. My father was also a drug addict, so I grew up with my grandmother, but my mother was My mother was married to a man since I was 3 years old, and my stepfather, who actually sexually molested me as a
Mm.
child. So I, yeah, that wasn't fun.
Yeah, that sounds,
um,
yeah, that's definitely traumatic, you know. Unfortunately, I believe the statistics are, is it every 5 out of 6 or something like that of kids by the time that they're 18 are sexually
yeah.
abused. So I'm sorry that you had to experience that.
Oh, I mean, it's okay because it molded me into the person that I am today.
Yeah.
So, of course, that was a very traumatic experience for me. And I remember, can I like share a story?
Yeah,
Is that
of course.
okay? Okay.
Mhm.
So, in our household, I grew up, we had like our family dynamic was really, really different. Like my mom was back and forth in jail, matter of fact, my whole childhood.
Mm,
Even up into adulthood, my mom was back and forth into jail. Same thing with my biological dad. I did not meet my biological dad until I was 15 years old. Crazy story. I always thought he was my uncle. It was weird. My mom at first was in like an abusive relationship with a man, and basically she didn't want to tell him that she cheated on him.
mm,
So they told him that he was my dad. Like my
mm,
whole story of how I came into this world is like crazy. And my mom told me like now I can share this. Before I used to cry sharing these type of things because I wasn't healed, right?
yeah.
So like my biological dad, I thought was my uncle. I literally, when we
Wow.
lived in the projects, my grandmother lived right next to his mother, which was my grandmother, who I
Mm,
actually thought was my aunt.
wow.
So I used to like go over to her house and spend time with her, but I remember them always like there was always a fight over me, but I didn't
Mm,
know what it was for. I was too young to remember that. Even remember times of my biological dad, like kidnapping me from school, wanting
mm,
to spend time with me, and me not understanding what was going on, them calling the cops on him. And it was just a lot of craziness. So from the gate, with my family dynamic, I always felt disconnected
mm,
because I never really had my mother fully, and I've never really had my father fully. So I was raised by my grandmother, thank God, and she was an angel sent. She did the best that she could, but I never had that foundation for myself. So I
mm.
always felt like something was missing for me.
Yeah,
So,
got it. So out of that, can you take us maybe to your teenage years? How your when did you find out, or how did you even find out then that your dad was really your dad and not your uncle?
oh man, I'll never forget this day.
Mhm.
At this time, we actually moved uptown on McClay Street, and it was my 15th birthday party. And my grandmother asked me to come outside. And I'm like, okay. She's like, I got something I need to talk to you about. Okay, so I come outside and I see who I thought my biological dad, who I thought was my uncle, and which was his brother, I thought was my cousin, but he was actually my uncle.
Man, I'm
I
confused, but
know it's crazy. It's crazy, girl. So,
okay.
I go outside, and who I thought was my cousin, like he was my favorite cousin. Like we just had this bond. We lived next to each other for a long time. We spent a lot of time together. And I'm hugging him because I didn't see him for so long, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you guys came." And then my nana proceeds to tell me, "There's something I really need you to know." Um, and my dad takes over and he's like, okay, listen, I'm not your uncle. I'm actually your dad. And I'm
Mm,
looking at him like,
wow.
what? No, you're not. Like, are you serious? And then he's like, yep, and this is not your cousin. This is actually your uncle. And I'm
Wow.
like, so this whole time I thought you were my uncle, but you're really my dad. So I was at that age, it was hard to wrap that in my mind at the time. So I
Yeah.
was very confused. I was
Mm,
very confused. I was already an angry teenager because I'm dealing with a stepfather who was sexually and mentally and emotionally and just abusing me.
mm,
Um and I just remember holding that secret for so long because I didn't know how to let those emotions out, right? So I never had anybody teach me how to deal with my emotions. So I bottled them in. It
mm,
was just, yeah, I was angry as a
mm,
teenager coming up, very angry. And my anger led to me getting into a lot of trouble. Um
mm,
Constantly fighting in school, constantly running with the wrong crowds. I was doing drugs. I was
mm,
drinking at a very young age. I was in the streets at a very young age because my grandmother, of course, was older. She stepped in a lot, but my stepfather was the source of income for
mm,
our family. And there would be times like I remember I would need stuff and he would tell me things like, okay, well, what are you going to do for me? And I'm like,
mm.
okay, well, what do you want me to do? You want me to clean up the house or something? Like, I
Yeah.
never had a problem with those type of things, but I knew in my mind what it was that he really wanted me to do. But I did everything that I could to kind of keep myself off the radar with him.
Yeah.
So at a young age, I found the streets.
Mm,
They grabbed me up and they taught me the game. And once I learned the game, I started doing what the streets do. I started making money at a
mm.
young age. I was out 4 or 5 in the morning, no 14, 15-year-old balloons,
Wow.
being out at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, but I was making money to take care of myself
Mm. Wow. So your innocence basically taken at a young age,
at a
had to go
very
at
young age.
a very fast rate. Wow. Already. And
Yeah.
knowing who you are now, it's like, wow, the person that you can always count on Kiesha having a smile on her face, right? All the people
Right.
watching that know her, whoever sees Keisha just serious, you'll be laughing with her,
Yep.
and such a great spirit that you bring, right?
Thank you. Thank
Um,
you.
and then you ended up in boot camp, was it? How did you end up
Yes.
in boot camp?
So once again, I was kind of running with the wrong crowd. I had they called us the Three Musketeers. It was three of us. We were like really, really close knit friends. And there was like another group of girls that didn't like us. We were younger than them, but we felt like, so what if you guys are older? You're not going to bully us. And we felt like we had a point to prove. And of
Yeah.
course, boys then, they edged it on and we fell for it. So we were constantly getting into fights. And it
Mm.
was like gang banging fights,
Oh,
like
wow.
we would fight. I want to say probably 4 days out of the week we were fighting, physically fighting. A
Mm,
lot of these fights either happened in school, out of school, and then one time we decided that we had this whole thing set up that we were going to do this all out brawl with everybody because we wanted it to end and we were tired of it.
mm,
And the fight went down and it went all the way to the left. Somebody got really, really injured, ended up in a hospital, broken bones, like it was insane. Somebody got stabbed, and we still thought, oh, so what? We didn't even care. We didn't
mm,
care that these individuals were hurt. We were like, we beat them up. This is what we bragging. We came to school the very next day. And the whole time we're hearing all these rumors in school that we're going to jail and all this, that. And we're like, no, we ain't going to jail. We're not worried about that. It was just a fight. And
mm.
sure enough, towards the end of the day, they locked the school down and called us down to the office. And before you know it, I was in handcuffs.
Wow. And how
Yep.
old were you say you were there?
I was I was 15, about to turn 16.
Wow.
Yep. But that's not even the end of that though. The
Mm,
craziest part is that I remember us being sent to Schaffner Youth Center. We were in Schaffner for probably a good month until we were like in court and everything. And they let us come home on an ankle monitor.
Mm.
Well, don't you know when we get home on an ankle monitor, we were strictly not allowed to do anything other than now by this time it's summertime. We could only go to summer school. The judge said we can go to summer school or church. Well,
Uh,
we were sneaking out on our ankle monitors every
wow.
day,
Oh my
every
goodness.
day. And
How
we
did you
ended up,
do that?
girl, like I remember at that time I was on ankle monitor and my mom had just came home probably 2 weeks prior to me, and she was also on ankle monitor. So it
Mm.
was conflicting. These
Oh.
are way back in the day gadgets, so it was conflicting, and mine's wasn't working to the full effect. So I would
Mm-hmm.
sneak out all the time. I would be outside all the time when I was supposed to be, and I ended up getting in trouble again. We got into another fight again, and I ended up going right back to Schaffner. This time, instead of them letting me out, they sent me to boot camp.
Wow. Oh, sorry, you just froze there. I was hoping the connection was good. Wow. So, being that you went through all of this, through the sexual abuse, through being, basically gang banging and going to boot camp and all of that, how did you end up graduating from school? Did you drop out? How did that go?
Um, that is so funny because nobody in my school, like the teachers, the principal, everybody, nobody believed in me.
Mm,
But there was one teacher, I'll never forget her name. Her name was Miss Twyman.
mm,
And she will always have these talks with me and
mm,
tell me that she knows I can do better. I'm a better person.
mm,
And she got me to a point that I was like, you know what? I was never a dummy. My grades were always great, turned into work, everything. But I was always in trouble. I was a trouble adolescent. But
mhm,
it wasn't the fact of me just being a troublemaker. It was everything that I was experiencing at home. So I was taking it out on everybody else that was around me, right? So if
mhm.
you mess with me, I'm already angry. Now I'm just going to fight you because that's the only way I know how to resolve my problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So nobody believed in me, but I did graduate and I graduated on time, top of my class.
Wow.
And I even gave a speech at our graduation that they
Wow.
actually tried to stop me from giving a speech because they felt like I was not the model student to be up on the stage. But though there was a principal who we built a relationship with each other and he got to see who I really was and he
Mm.
pushed for me to be able to give that speech. So yes, against
Wow.
all odds, I did graduate.
Graduated. Wow. That's amazing. It's amazing what one person can do in the life of anybody. I mean, especially a child, um, just being able to speak life into someone. And that just proves that it just takes one person believing in you and seeing the good in you.
Yep.
Um, that can just help you, when everybody else is doubting you and everybody's telling you that you're never going to make it, that you're never going to be anything. It took that one person and you graduated and you gave a speech. Wow,
Absolutely. Yep.
that's amazing. So, can you share with us a little bit about adulthood, like with your kids and being a mom, and then how things transitioned for you to where you are now?
Absolutely. So, because I was molested, I never really wanted to be pretty, right? I never wanted guys to be attracted to me. So I was
Mm,
kind of like a tomboyish. I always wore these big old baggy shirts. I didn't know how to do my hair because I didn't have a mother that taught me those type of things. So my
mm,
hair was always a mess. I just anything not to be seen, even though I
yeah.
was being seen, but I was being seen for all the wrong things.
Mm,
So into adulthood, as I began to realize that there was something like I've always aspired to be a better person.
mm,
And in my core, I had this persona up that I was this tough, mean, angry kid. But in my core, in actuality, that wasn't really who I was. It was a front. You know,
Yeah.
it was a mask for everything that I was going through.
Yeah.
So when I began to realize that, I knew that I needed some sort of healing, but I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to start that. So I confronted my molester. I
Mm.
was 21. Yeah, 21. No, I'm sorry, 22. I was 22 when I finally confronted him, and he denied accusations because there was other people there, but it was on his, probably like a year later, he was dying, and
Oh
he was
wow.
on his deathbed, and he asked to speak to me alone, and he apologized to
Wow.
me. He didn't
Wow.
come per se and say exactly what it was that he did,
Yeah.
but we both knew what it was, and he apologized to me. And even though the moment that I confronted him, that was the moment that I got my healing from
Mm.
that. Like, I was able to start moving forward, speak
Thank God.
about it. Now it's out there, like, so when he did that, that was just confirmation for me that I've actually forgiven him,
Wow.
you
And
know?
just
So
to touch on that, where you said when you confronted it, um, it no longer had a hold on you. I think
absolutely.
for anything in life, when we hold on to secrets and we cover things, the enemy uses that against us.
Yep.
So that's why it's so important that we speak up against things, because when we hold things inside, the devil will continue using that, because you're fighting it by yourself, right? You're in
Yep.
this dark place in your head, and nobody else knows, so you can't speak about it. But speaking about things and just putting them out, I think, well, that's why people go to counselors, right?
Yep.
You like, you're like, I'm just going to talk, and you go to counseling and you're just talking, but there's just so much relief and release in speaking on things. So thank you for touching on that.
Absolutely. And just to touch bases on what you were saying about speaking about things, like even when we first was talking about this, and I told you that I'm like, I'm an open book now. Like,
Mhm.
before, it was one of those, what's the saying? What happens in his family stays in his family.
Yeah,
I grew up with that. And
yeah,
one thing I have done is I have broke all the way away from that. That's not
mhm,
my motto. No, we
yeah,
talk. We
yeah,
express our emotions. We sit down at the family table. We hash it out. We have an open relationship where it's okay for us to communicate these type of feelings. It's
yeah,
okay if something happened, I want you to feel comfortable enough to come to me and talk to me about that and tell me if something's wrong. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So fast forward though into adulthood. So of course I found, like, I thought was the love of my life, my
Mm,
kid's father. And relationships does something to us as women.
yeah.
We
I
get
know.
like so we get
Yes.
so caught up in these like relationships. We get caught up in our men, and sometimes even if we feel like, okay, a person is broken, or a person may be experiencing some things, as a woman, because it's in our DNA, it's natural for us to be nurturers. We want to
Yeah.
help them thrive, right? Want to
Yeah.
help them get to where they want to get to.
Yeah.
So I thought he was the love of my life. We ended up having two beautiful babies together. We were actually engaged to be married, and
Wow.
then I found out he really wasn't the one for me. He
Mm,
wasn't the one for me. He was deceitful behind my back,
mm.
and he was disloyal. So when those things transpired, it took a toll on me. It
Yeah.
took my self-esteem was already not really there, right? I had low self-esteem. I never felt beautiful because of what I dealt with as at the trauma from my childhood. And
Yeah.
then I'm dealing with this man who I fall in love with, and then I find out that it's infidelity going on. So
Mm,
that hurt me to the core. It was already hard for me to trust a man,
yeah.
and for that to happen, so everything for me fell apart in my world at that point. I literally went from a two-parent household, us being together, working on things together, to just being a single mother.
Mm,
And that was very, very hard. My oldest son at the time was 3. My
Mm.
baby boy wasn't even, I don't even think he was 6 months at the time. We
Wow.
lived in this household where I couldn't even afford all of the bills by myself.
Mm.
So I kind of ended up falling back into that. I backslid. I fell into
Mm.
that trap again. And the only way I knew how to make money was to go to the streets. And that's what I
Wow.
started doing. And,
Yeah.
but I knew that's not what I wanted for my life, right? I didn't want that. I didn't want that for my children. I gained a lot of weight because I was emotionally messed up. I'm an emotional eater. So I was drowning all my emotions in eating. My mindset was messed up. All I kept thinking about was I was self-indulgent, where it was like, what's wrong with me? What am
Mm.
I doing wrong? Why did he leave me? I'm comparing myself to the other girls. I'm looking at them like, oh my God, I need to do this, and this. And
Mm.
the worst mistake I could have ever did to myself was the first time allow him to come back and
Mm.
think that we can make it work. It
Yeah.
really only made it worse for me.
Yeah.
Because every day all I could think about is, what if he does it again? What if this
Mm.
happens again? I'm looking at the girl, I'm comparing myself. Now I'm wondering. It was a total nightmare.
Having you
And
crazy.
yeah, it drove me crazy. It drove me crazy. And it was the second time it happened, the moment that I realized that I knew I could not go on anymore and live my life this way, was when I looked at my babies and seen how they were reacting because of how I was reacting.
Mm. Wow.
Their emotions were messed up. And it was
Wow.
because they felt mine, right?
Mm. Yeah.
So,
Our kids
um,
feel our emotions,
yes,
definitely. That they don't know what's going on.
yep,
That mommy didn't just finish crying in the bathroom and trying to act like everything's okay. But
yes,
they're like looking at you with those little eyes, like they know when something definitely is wrong.
right, right. And then at that time, I really didn't have like support. My mother was in jail. I really didn't have any support for my children. My dad was in jail. He had did like a 10-year bid. So I felt all alone, just me and my kids. And then so
You
it
feel
got
like,
to
I'm sorry, I
sorry,
was gonna ask, you feel like, did you make him your everything? The man that you were with at the time, or
everything.
mm,
Everything. I felt like I allowed him to take my power
mm,
all
wow,
the way to where my happiness depended on him. And that
wow,
should never be. We should never allow anyone to have our power, or
mm,
never allow ourselves to even think that another individual is the reason why we are happy. No,
amen,
because, and that was one thing I had to learn, that the
mm,
happiness came from within. But I was
yes,
so angry. And it was
mm,
because of everything else that I didn't deal with, that I
mm,
didn't heal from. So when
yeah,
I realized that it wasn't him, it wasn't his infidelity, it wasn't what he did to me, it was me. It
mm,
was my own self that had to deal with my own baggage.
come
And
on now,
until I began to pick and pull all of those pieces apart, I would
mm,
not be whole. And I knew I would not be able to be the mother to my children that I wanted to be until I did that.
amen, wow. That's, I think a lot of women might need to hear that right now. I mean,
Absolutely.
no, I've dealt with so many women, including myself. I was there at one point in my life where you give your all to a man and you feel like you're gonna die without them. Like you literally think that you're gonna die. Like, how do you, and then you look back, you're like, what was I thinking? Like, look,
Right.
still alive and thriving. But yeah, so if there's a woman right now who's dealing with a man who's cheating on her, who's not hitting her up and she's chasing him and she's trying to fix herself and she's trying to, what advice would you give to a woman right now who's in a relationship where her man keeps cheating on her? He's been with her for 10 years, 5 years, has not even proposed to her,
Mm.
hasn't shown any kind of commitment to her at all, and cheating on her. What kind of advice? Speak to that woman right now.
Girl, leave him right where he stands. And I'm saying that because sometimes they put this stigma on women where we feel like stick it out with him. You gotta ride through the tough things, and oh girl, just he's a man and let him grow. Just go through it. It's okay because you won't come out on the top with him. No,
Mm.
no. Stop falling in love with potential. Stop
Yes.
falling in love with just arrived in front of your face just now. Get
Mhm.
very clear and specific. Shout out
Yes.
to my Coach Joseph Evans Carter, because he's really the person that really made me understand about being clear and specific on what it is that you want in your relationships. What is
Mm.
your ideal partner? What do you want in your partner? Like, we go out here and we can get 30% in a relationship that fulfills us, but the other percent is not there. So we accept it and we think, okay, he's going to grow into this. I'm going to show him how to be my man. I'm going to show him how to do this. No, no. Stop falling in love with potential. Fall in
Yes.
love with that person who has arrived to the place that you also have arrived at as well. And we also got to become those people in order for us to get that person that we want in our life.
Mm-hmm. You attract who you are. And
Absolutely.
I love how you said stop falling in love with potential. I think a lot of times a man will show what he wants you to think he is, and little by little they start getting comfortable and they start sliding back or whatever.
Yep.
And she's like, wait, what happened? He's not who I thought I was. And like you said, she'll start working, trying to pull him up, but really he's
Yep.
pulling him down, you know.
Absolutely.
So I think that's stop falling in love with potential. Fall in love
Yes.
with really what it is. There's a quote, I
Absolutely.
think it says, it's something like, stop trying to paint different color, but it's really the color that you see. It's something, I messed up the quote. Don't quote me.
Oh, something like stop trying to paint the picture and see what it is. I get what you're saying though.
Yeah,
Look at
yeah,
reality.
yeah. Because sometimes we're like, no, it's a figment in our imagination. Like you create this person that you think they are,
Yep.
but they're really something else. And yeah, I think that was good. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
So how are you where you're at today? What switched in your brain? What things switched? What people did you meet? What things did you do in order to get where you're at right now?
Um, so I'm a firm believer of there's not coincidence, like coincidences. I think I'm saying that right.
Yeah,
I'm a firm believer that God gives us these divine meetings, right? He
yeah.
places us in places or around people in order for us to either to get us to that next level, what we're looking for, or what we prayed for.
Mhm.
And my kids were going to this daycare, really nice daycare, Christian daycare. And I actually met a young lady who was also a single mother. Our two youngest kids, and her middle child and my oldest were always in the same class. So we
Mm,
constantly seen each other on either pickup time, drop up time, but we would say hi, and then before you know it, we stopped one day and we started talking. And we started to build a relationship. We began to have play dates with our kids. And
mm,
I started to feel like, oh my God, I started to get this support system, right, that I was looking for.
um,
And it would be times that she may have needed me to watch her children, or I may have needed her to watch mine. And we helped each other in that way, which was huge as a single
mm,
mother. And
yeah.
then I kept thinking to myself, we friended each other on Facebook, and I'm like, this lady has 4 kids. I have 2. Like, how's she going on these vacations all the time? Like,
Mm.
what is she doing? Because I'm struggling right now.
Yeah,
Like, I'm
yeah.
struggling to make ends meet. I'm behind in bills. I'm behind on daycare. What is she doing? So
Mm,
I asked her one day, and I was like, listen, girl, I just got to know, like, where do you work at? And she was like, oh, I work for myself. And I was like, okay, what do you do? And she says to me, well, do you have time to watch a video? And I said,
mm,
I absolutely do. And she introduced me to Stream, which is Connect Now.
mm,
And the moment I watched that video, I knew that that was for me. I asked her
Mm.
2 questions. How it worked? Was I right about how it worked? And she said, yep. I said, girl, sign me up. I knew, and it cost, I think it cost $2.99 at the time. I was
Yeah.
taking my rent money. I was
Mm.
going to sacrifice my rent money to make that move because I started to believe in myself enough to know I can make this happen.
That
And I
hunger.
got to the playground. Yeah, we get to the playground, we meet up, we go to sign up, and she tells me this is how God works. She tells me, girl, I got a ticket that's going to get you in for free.
Wow.
I was blown away.
Wow.
I
That's
started
amazing.
crying
Oh,
because
wow.
I don't think she knew how much I really needed that. I
Mm.
needed that at the time. And that point forward, like I jumped in the stream, started to build my business, got acclimated with some people, went to a meeting. Those meetings, like, blew my mind away. The stories, the testimonies from people, hearing, like, being able to relate to another mother who built this business that allowed her to send her child to college. And all I
Mm.
could see is that's what I want for my kids.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. And
Yeah.
it opened up my mindset. It broadened my horizons. I started rubbing elbows with people that these were things that I really wanted for myself. So I
Yeah.
knew then that I had to change. Now I had the tools that made me understand how I can change. How can I break
Mhm.
these generational curses? How can
Yeah.
I change my parenting? How can I change me being a better mother? How can I change me making more income and not running to the streets or happen to get a second job to do it? Like that
Yeah.
is what flipped the trigger in my head for me. And I felt like my best revenge was for me to heal one and to
Mm.
become an even better person. And he used to, when you go through those relationship things, they push those
Mm.
buttons, and those
Uh,
buttons get you every single time, right? And I kept
yeah.
praying to God, I need you to show me how to move these buttons. I need to remove them because I don't
Mm.
want to be this person anymore.
Yeah.
And he showed me the way. He showed me the way. So Stream birth a different person in me and allow me to be comfortable with coming out with who I truly am at my core.
I can totally relate with that because Stream changed my life as well. You
Yep.
know, I can relate to that hunger. We're not trying to get money from your rent too. Like when I had this similar experience. I saw my friend like always at the gym with the nice Benz and just
Yes.
everything. Like, like that's the life I want to live. And I think
Right.
that's the one thing is that when you have to know what you want in life, and when you see, you have to talk to the people who are where you want to be, you
Yep.
know. I think that's key. You can't talk to people who are at your level or below and ask them for advice. You got to go talk to those people who are at where you want to be. And the
Yep.
second thing is you have to be hungry. You have to know what you want and you can't settle. Like it takes hard work. Like I know for
Right.
me, where I'm at, I didn't just arrive here. It's been a process, you
Oh my
know.
God.
For you too, like it's been a process. I'm sorry, I'm just turning this light down a little bit. It's kind of
It's okay.
blinding my eye. But yeah, like the fact of you have to know what you want, you know, and not settling and going after your dreams. I think that's one of the biggest things um with Inspire Her Within is just teaching women that you don't have to settle, you don't have to stay in that relationship, you don't have to settle for that man who keeps cheating on you, you don't
Yep.
have to settle for not, you know, going on the vacations you want, having the life you live, you know, everything that you want for your kids. Didn't you go to
Absolutely.
Mexico?
Yes, girl.
Tell us about
And
that. Did you
that
ever think
was,
you would go to Mexico?
oh my God, no, no. Like, not coming from where I was coming from. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
What? We never even made it to Disneyland.
I hear that. I
Ah,
definitely hear that. Wow.
man.
But that's amazing. Just seeing how your story, like from where you were, where you're at. where are you right now? Like, how do you feel now that after even joining Stream and the way that it impacted you? How do you feel now?
So, I feel amazing, girl. Like,
Yes.
I absolutely feel like I am in the prime of my life and things are beginning to finally come together for me. Like, I went from like working this business, learning all the outs and ins of networking with people, meeting different people, change my whole circle. So everybody around me is like great influences, great people that
Mm.
are headed to places that I want to be headed to. We all on the same frequency, right?
Yes.
So I just got really, really clear on what it is that I want for myself, what I want out of life, and what I want for my family. So
Mm.
I'm very much focused on every area of my life, not just business and making money. I'm
Mm.
focused on my parent identity with my children. Um,
Mm.
how do I see myself as being a parent? What do I want to teach my children? What do I want
Yeah.
them to know? How am I going to mold them?
Yeah.
My career and business identity, I'm focused on that. What is it that I really want to build as far as generational wealth? What do I want to leave behind for my children and their children and children's to come? um
Yeah.
Focused on my relationship identity. What is it that I really want out of a man? Like, I
Mm.
have to be very clear and specific on that. Like, so if 30% or 40% of this arrives, am I going to take that and be like, okay, we'll wait for the rest? No, because now
Mm.
I'm clear and specific on what it is that I truly want.
Yes.
Even with my lifestyle, I'm getting fit. I'm learning how to I'm unlearning everything that I knew and relearning how to lead a healthy lifestyle for me and my children. So I am really truly honed in, and I have this tunnel vision where I'm just focused on every area of my life right now. And things are really coming together. I There's going to be launching soon, but I just about a week ago went ahead and got my LLC. Something that I've been wanting to do for years now. And
Mm.
I finally went ahead and believed in myself and went ahead and did it. And I'm starting to build the foundation for that. So,
Congratulations on
yes.
that.
So
Whenever
I
you
am
know, you could. I know you were, working on some things but the fact that you got your LLC and getting your business in order, that's awesome. That's such a great
absolutely.
accomplishment.
Thank you.
That's
So
a great accomplishment.
2020 was like a year of clarity for me, right? So
Mm.
clarity comes with a lot of focus. Like, I really
Mm.
had to sit back and look at everything and think to myself, okay, so what is going wrong here? And what do I need to work on to make it better?
Mm.
And that's kind of like the point that I'm at, where I've gone through my healing process. I have talked talked to therapists. I have let everything out. I have confronted family members. I've broken. I literally, the buck stops with me. You know
Mm.
how they say, "Oh, girl, you got that from your grandmama, or you got that from here." No, I'm breaking every generational curse in my family, and I know that I'm that person for them. And at first, I didn't understand it. I didn't like it because I felt like everything fell on me. But
Yeah.
now I embrace it by any means necessary. I set boundaries with everybody when it comes to what I want and allow into my world.
Yes. You're preaching, girl. You're preaching. That you need that focus. You need boundaries. The fact
Yes.
I love what you said. You have to unlearn. A lot of times we think we need to learn, but sometimes we need to be broken down in order
Yep.
to be back up. We need to
Yep.
know identity and we need to know who we are before we can become the greatness that we were meant to be, And I love that you didn't,
Absolutely.
like, you could have easily settled and said, oh, this is my background and I went through this and I went through that. But what you did was allow it to catapult you into a different and better direction because, you know
Yep.
everything that we go through in life, God doesn't punish us. He doesn't do it because he wants to condemn us. But you don't know, like right now, people are hearing your testimony and people are hearing your story, and he's going to use it for greater good, and it was a process.
Yeah.
You didn't just wake up one night and, oh, I'm here, I got my LLC, I'm confident.
Right.
No, it's the process hurts. It's like birthing pains, it's birthing
Girl.
pains, but it's so worth it to not give up,
Right.
right?
Right. It's like
So
calluses. You got to build a callus. You got to continue to keep building those calluses up. Keep growing. Don't let the narrative that happened in your childhood dictate the narrative for your adulthood. Because, see,
yeah,
we control the narrative for ourselves. So if you
yeah.
want that to change, guess what? You got to change. You got to begin to
Mm,
change that. Nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to do
yes.
it for you. And we can cry out, we can pray, we can do all these things. But until we actually take that first step to deal with all of our baggage, all of the things that we need to heal from, I promise you, you will be stuck. And I was
Yes.
stuck. I was stuck until God made sure I was stuck until I dealt with it.
Mm. I think that's key. A lot of times people are afraid of confronting a lot of people run from their problems, they've run from their trauma, they run, they just keep running, and you don't
Yep,
get anywhere running in circles. It's like a hamster running in a circle. It ends up in the
absolutely.
same spot,
Yep,
and I think that's key. A lot of times, we have to confront. It might hurt when we confront these things because we have to face reality, but you're not going to be able to move on
right,
and grow in life until you face the things that you need to face, right? So thank you for
right,
that,
absolutely.
and just taking control of your life. I love what you said. We have to take responsibility. We can't point fingers. We can't blame, the people that came before us. Like, this is our lives. It didn't matter. It
Yep,
doesn't matter what happened to us or who did what or didn't do. Our lives are individual. So thank you for that. Um,
absolutely.
are there any last words that you have on your heart that you would like to share? Oh, I lost her.
Yes.
You're a little frozen there. Can you hear me?
How about now?
I can hear you, but you're still frozen.
Me?
Huh?
I
Okay,
think.
you're moving again. Maybe move a little closer to the
Am I
monitor.
here? Okay. I'm so.
Oh man. Hold on. Having some technical difficulties. Just bear with us. If you can still hear me, can you comment? I'm not sure if it's me or Kiesha. Man, it was going so good. If you're still with us, can you just comment some things that you love, some key things that you love that you heard so far? Oh, all right. Well, I guess you guys can hear. But man, what a wonderful interview, right? Thankful that Kiesha took time to be with us. I'm sorry that we lost her. I'm trying to see if she comes back on or not. But yeah, so I'm thankful that Kiesha was able to join us tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. I think she really dropped some gems tonight. Oh, she's popping up a little bit. So a few key things that she pointed out is, what you've gone through in your life doesn't define who you are. You don't have to continue in the generational curses that you come from. Another thing is taking personal responsibility. Give me one second. Taking personal responsibility for the things that we go through in life, the relationships that you're in, what you want in life, not settling, just I hope that you guys take it and are able to run with, what you heard from Kiesha tonight. Thank you guys for your feedback. And I will let her know. I mean, I'm sure she'll see in the comments, but we're going to be having a lot more interviews like this. If you know of a woman who inspires you, or you know that there's a woman who has a great testimony and you feel like the world needs to hear her, please give her my information. You can email me at inspireher33@gmail.com. You can also message me directly through Inspire Her Within here on Facebook. And I just want to be sharing a lot more stories like this. I feel like when we share our stories, we empower not only ourselves, but other women as well, because we are not alone. We are not alone. And I think it's important. Sometimes it's scary to be vulnerable and to let the world know our story. But this is how we build each other up so that we can connect. So thank you guys for tuning in. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and God bless.